Hello everyone, and this is Reaching the Soul Explained. Now, there are a couple questions that I'd like to go over. One is, why isn't the soul more obvious to our senses? To the ones that are more easily at our employ? Putting aside the sixth sense for a second and all the other senses connected to our astral body, should we go into that territory. But another question is, and why is reaching the soul so difficult? Even if you believe in the soul, why is getting in touch with it, your ego getting in touch with your soul, so difficult? Now, I'd like to say that there are three elements to nature that get in the way, but to varying degrees. Now, these are the three gunas, or background elements of nature, through whose combinations allow individuality, free choice, and ego validation in illusory reality, or Maya. Now, when I say ego validation, I'm talking about the idea that we do have free choice, that we exist as individuals, and that our actions have an infinite effect, which in fact they don't. They have a very limited effect in a illusory reality. But to help us understand what gets in the way between us and our soul, I have a few examples to explain it through. Now, on one side of the spectrum, one side of reality, closest to the infinite, we have soul, which is quite a bit of us. It's far more than anything in this material reality. Its quantity is absolute in its infinity. And only infinity is true reality. Not only in my opinion, but in many Hindu people's opinion and many different spiritual traditions. Now, our body, our blood, our material existence, seemingly tying us to material reality in this universe, in the multiverse, is but a drop. One drop of blood compared to quite a few grains of pure white soul that I have represented through salt. Now, the three gunas get in between soul and our very limited and very corporeal material body, represented by a single drop of red ink in this vial. And the three gunas are, of course, going from soul side to body side, material existence side. We have sattva, purity, right action, progressive spiritual development. Then we have rajas, represented by the gray color pencil. That is the restless nature that is in all of us. That kind of goes in between sattva and tamas. It's kind of going back and forth between pure nature and darkness and torpor. So it's kind of like that agitated nature that most of us experience in life, because especially Earth is a very rajasic world. It's a very restless world, constantly going between the two natures around it. And most definitely going back and forth between complete materialism and complete infinity that is the soul. And now finally, closest to materiality, we have tamas, represented by the black color pencil. Tamas is darkness, it's torpor, it's lack of development, it's an unwillingness to move from one's suppositions, one's expectations, and to never allow oneself to truly learn, because one is very fearful and one's very attached to where they are and who they are at that time, which many terrible things have been done because of the tamasic energy in this world. Many things have been done that have been terrible that was because of the rajasic energy in this world. But mainly is the influence of tamas, of darkness, of torpor, of self-interest, and unwillingness to move from the person that you are right now, unwillingness to learn, unwillingness to be taught by the universe, that creates so much evil in this world. Now, sattva, a sattvic person on right next and right before the infinity that is the soul. Notice that there's a difference between getting to the absolute reality of the soul and sattva. Sattva is still an element of nature that binds one in this material reality, but it's kind of like a thread. Tamas is kind of like some really thick chains, and rajas could be said to be rope, tying us to materialism. So there is a spectrum, if you will. Sattva, a sattvic person, will be patient, will not be agitated easily, will not be hurt by insults. It's very hard to hurt a sattvic person, and they will constantly be working towards greater unification with everything else, with the universe, with God, and with everything that we usually consider as separate things, as separate entities. Ultimately, everything is one, and that's what we realize once we reach a complete merger with our soul through moksha, through liberation, or you can call it enlightenment, or you can call it God realization. Once we get to a complete realization of our soul, complete experience of it, that's when all of the three natures, be it sattva, rajas, or tamas, become inert. They become irrelevant. Sattva is often described as the boat that you sail across the ocean of time in order to get to the infinity of the soul. Rajas is kind of similar to being on the shore, and tamas is like being in a swamp, constantly sinking and never even getting close to the shore in order to get towards your soul. Now, once we get to our soul, once we allow it to really rule our actions, rule our motivations, that's when we start to see that we are no less a part of God than anything else, and that we really don't have an individualized identity. It is only through the illusion of this world that individuality is allowed to seemingly exist. What we have to understand about this world is that it does not look at us as being greater or lesser than anything else. And punishment and reward is in our hands. It's all about how we act and how we react in this world that judges the response from the universe. Not necessarily just this world, but the multiverse, any world in the different universes. How we act very much dictates the response from everything else. It is not up to, there is space for mercy from the grander consciousness, the Godhead, if you will, for all of its pieces, but mainly, punishment and reward is completely doused out by karma, our interactions with this world or lack thereof. Some people say we should not interact with this world and not generate any karma. And that is impossible. We always generate karma, even by a thought. Some people say that there is no real good or bad, no good and evil, no real sattva and tamas, and that whatever we do here as a result, because this is an illusory reality, really makes no difference ultimately. And to those people, I would say, now, the villain is necessary in the play, like Kriyananda said, disciple of Paramahansa Yogananda. But if you're going to play the villain, be willing to accept the villain's punishment. Now, pain feels very real here. Agony feels very real here. Suffering and loneliness feel very real here. So if even if you understand that it does not exist ultimately, it will feel very real to us right now because of our body identification, this illusion of individuality, and the existence and possibility for pain as we have not completely merged with our souls, allowing our ego to dissolve and allowing us to truly merge with infinity. Now, as an individual, your ultimate and prime mission in this world is to become as sattvic as possible, to get to the point to where you want to merge with your soul, to where you are not agitated easily like Rajas, you are not pulled one way or another like in Rajas, and you do not have a sense of torpor or darkness that allows you to never really get past, as long as you embrace tamas, whatever stage you're at. But if you're a tamasic person and you start reading some sattvic scripture, you start reading some true spiritual teachings, then, and you start to meditate, then it will be very easy to get to sattva if you focus on it one-pointedly. Nobody is stuck in tamas, only those who embrace it completely and refuse to change, refuse to advance. Rajas, we know everybody, most of the people we know in society are rajasic. They have their good qualities, they have their bad qualities, and they're constantly going from darkness to light in these random amounts and random quantities within themselves, constantly having an ever-changing mixture of the two extremes within themselves. Whether it be somebody who really loves his children but is really hateful to his wife, or somebody who is very active in church but looks down upon other people who aren't in his church. or perhaps somebody, and I'm talking about Rajas here, perhaps somebody that is very materialistic but still gives to the poor. We have these qualities within us that we go back and forth from in the Rajasic nature. Sattvic people are the best of us, those who do not have great ego, do not have great pride, do not have great attempt or motivation in their lives to make their existence all about themselves. Now, the soul is something that I cannot explain in and of itself. I cannot say that, okay, this is soul, because I do not have a perfect filter. I'm still looking through the filter of my ego, through the filter of the different gunas that I have within myself. So I cannot describe what soul is to you completely. But what I can refer to is the scriptures, like the Bhagavad Gita, or the Puranas, or the Upanishads. These are all Hindu scriptures. The Upanishads are especially close to my heart, as they talk about the oneness of everything, Brahman, soul, and how everything is ultimately a part of it. This is the heart of everything that I try to explain, is that everything is a part of the same thing, and that you have the ability within yourself to either get reward or punishment from the universe, and you also have the ability to go beyond the universe. So, I hope this video has been interesting. I hope that you've enjoyed it. I hope that these props have aided you in understanding what I'm trying to explain. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, shoot down in the comment section below on YouTube. If you have a great interest in this topic, or you thought this video was really well planned, really well committed, if you liked my words, hit that thumbs up down there. I really greatly appreciate every like that I get. If you want to support me on Patreon, feel free to shoot it up into www.patreon.com/darkrealist, capital D, capital R. And my Patreon account is recently made, so I really need more patrons, and I only ask for $1 a month. You can, of course, give more. I'd greatly appreciate more money. If you just like what I do, I would definitely appreciate you going to my Patreon account and just donating $1 a month. It's not too much to ask. But hey, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see all of you in the future.